GP Santa Clara.
Hello and welcome to Round 9 here at Grand Prix Santa Clara. Maria Bartholdi in the booth, joined by Jacob Van Lunen and Rich Hagen here to help fill in the missing pieces. And we've got some really exciting Legacy decks for you. We just previewed them. We've got a Dark Depths combo lands deck and a deck that's putting a lot of silly enchantments into play.
Yeah, I mean, these two decks are kind of weird, to put it lightly.
Well, that's what we like here on Good Morning Magic. We want to show you the most interesting decks of the day. And here we see we're going to kick things off with Nanaka there on the left side of your screen. Nanaka, excuse me, and Brubaker-Nelson-Kudva there on the right side of your screen. And just like you mentioned, there's that Chalice of the Void right off the bat trying to stop anything that Vikram's trying to do.
Yeah, now, even against a deck like Vikram's, this turn 1 Chalice of the Void for 1 is so strong. I mean, Vikram's deck, the main engine is Cabal Therapy in conjunction with Veteran Explorer. So the fact that Nanaka won the die roll, he was able to play that Chalice of the Void for 1, it means that Kudva is going to have a really difficult time making his deck do just about anything.
Oh, wow. And there is a second one just to put kind of the nail in the coffin potentially for Vikram's strategy.
Yeah, and you know, now Nanaka also has a Remunap Excavator. This is kind of a Crucible of Worlds on legs. We get a creature that costs 3 mana that also allows us to play land cards from our graveyard. And in a deck like Nanaka's, that means that he's going to be, you know, just always hitting his land drops no matter what, and using powerful abilities on lands to, you know, have redundancy with his combo and things like that. All
right, here's a Green Sun's Zenith from Vikram. What's he searching up?
Well, I think that Veteran Explorer is the card that he wants more than any other card in his deck in the majority of his matchups. A thing that's really exciting here is that even though his Cabal Therapy in the graveyard costs 1 mana and will be countered if he casts it from the graveyard, he's still going to be able to sacrifice that Veteran Explorer and search up some lands here.
So why exactly is Veteran Explorer so explosive in Vikram's deck?
So it searches up 2 basic lands, and it puts them into play untapped. That means he gets access to both of those mana on the same turn. Now, if he's not playing against a deck that has Chalice of the Void for 1 on the battlefield, that means that he's going to be able to pick apart their hand, make sure that they don't have the big card that they can punish you with when you let them search up lands, and then you can start doing all of the absurd things your deck can do with cards like Academy Rector.
Now, in theory, we've got it on the screen there. It is symmetrical. This is each player can do this. I guess, though, it's not symmetrical because Legacy doesn't feature a lot of basics.
Yeah, in many ways, it's not symmetrical because your opponent oftentimes will not have the basics to search. And even though most decks in Legacy now do have enough basics to search up to, you have more basics in your deck. The second Veteran Explorer usually doesn't provide any advantage for them, where it provides you continual advantage. And the fact that you can use the mana right away and you're ripping apart your opponent's hand means that even if they get those 2 extra lands, they don't have anything to do with them.
So just taking a look at our game state here with that Chalice on 0 and Chalice on 1, how do you like either side's chances?
I think Nanaka has done exactly what he wants to do in the early turns of the game. The fact that he can start dredging this life from the loam now means that he can start putting together combo pieces.
All right, here we see that a sacrifice, a Veteran Explorer, going to find 2 basics here for Vikram. Keenan taking a look through his deck, only to find exactly none.
So, Green Sun, Zenith once again. A lot of Legacy players are very proprietary about the sort of make and model of the cards that they use. It's not just the words that are on them; it's the which edition and which border and so on. I noticed that Vikram has upgraded, what was certainly in his view, to the latest basic lands one could possibly find from the unset. Is that a thing in Legacy, Jake? Is sort of Legacy as a whole moved to the unlands for basics?
Yeah, well, I think in a lot of ways when you play Legacy, your deck kind of defines who you are. And, it's like wearing a nice outfit,
You mean like, when you say that, so you're telling me that Nanaka defines himself as a terrible human who wants no one else to do anything ever?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Trapped you, JVL.
908, first piece of character assassination of the day, JVL. Good job.
For what it's worth, Nanaka has excellent taste with his forest. I'd say that is the most beautiful forest in existence.
Well dug out. So, you did that very well.
A+.
The forest guru. Is that what you said? Well, because forests do that.
Oh, nice.
They always
All right, here's the first of our big enchantments cast by Vikram. Cruel Reality. Those chalices on 1 and 0 aren't helping there.
Cruel Reality. Let's take a look at that. Just the 5 black then.
Curses.
Enchant player. Let's see if we can get that up on the screen for you. Because it's actually a pretty picture. There it is.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
It's kind of
kinda
drowning
dark.
my friend.
Kind of dark. So yes, you enchant player at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep. That player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If they can't, they lose 5 life. Pretty cruel.
I also call shenanigans in the art on this because, 2 randos holding back Gideon doesn't really seem reasonable to me.
That's a good point. You can't hold Gideon back. Yeah, you can see how easily Vikram has assembled 7 mana already in this game.
Yeah, and, we talked about how his deck, searches up these powerful, expensive enchantments with cards like Bitter Heart Witch and or Academy Rector. But the thing about Veteran Explorer is that it ramps your mana so fast that you can just start casting these absolutely gigantic enchantments, and you don't even have to cheat them into play. You just cast them.
All right, here we see a Sylvan Library as well for Vikram to help smooth out the draws. Dryad Arbor there on your screen. Nice little utility land you see often in Modern.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great card in so many ways. So sometimes your opponent makes you want to sacrifice a creature, and you fetch up that land, and you just sacrifice a land instead. A really powerful card.
And here we see Neenan on the other side of the screen, kind of doing what his deck wants to do as well. But is it kind of too late now that Vikram's gotten an enchantment into play?
Yeah. So at this point, Brubaker-Kudva can kind of just do whatever he wants to do. But the thing is, if Nonaka, even if he gets the Dark Depths combo into play, he's going to have to sacrifice the Merit Lodge at the beginning of his upkeep to the Cruel Reality. He needs to somehow engineer a turn wherein he puts that combo into play and also has something else to sacrifice. And, he's just under the clock of, Kudva putting another enchantment into play that's going to prevent him from enacting that game plan.
And there is one of the keys to that puzzle, Academy Rector hitting the table here for Vikram, along with Cabal Therapy.
And, we've seen here now, Kudva has sacrificed creatures to Cabal Therapy multiple times already. His Cabal Therapies were countered by this Chalice of the Void, but simply having the ability to sacrifice those, those creatures has just been unbelievably powerful for him. All right, so it looks like Kudva just searched up Curse of Death's Hold.
Yeah.
And that means that Nonaka can no longer play that Dryad Arbor without it just dying immediately. And that means that Nonaka can't use the Dryad Arbor to protect something like Merit Lodge.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm going to go for my judge moment here. Is that a state-based effect? That creatures enchanted player controls get -1/-1. Have I said those words in the right order? State-based effect.
I think that's right.
I believe you
Yeah.
have. I'm not a judge, so I
I'm
don't
a
want
judge. Look at me. I'm a judge.
Well, technically, we're all level 0 judges. Did you know that?
Oh, are we really?
Yes.
So that's technically correct.
Yeah. Oh, it's a static ability.
It's a static ability.
Oh well. Oh well.
It's a static
We were
ability.
close.
FPS 916 says it's a static ability. The creature's dying is a state-based effect.
Okay.
You see, and I'm getting thumbs up all around me in the booth.
I thought it was. It sounded good.
Sunday's
sounded
already
good.
been
I
a
liked
success.
it.
I'm now officially a tiny bit less stupid. Champagne Magic says, "Oh, Keenan is so dead."
Yeah. Keenan at this point is not liking his chances in this game. And I wasn't sure how this match would work out, but it looks like, this deck put together by Kudva is just really well positioned against a slower deck like Nonaka's. Like, I don't know what Nonaka's supposed to do when he's just cursed.
Literally.
Yeah.
I would like to see the combo of Overwhelming Splendor in play with that Curse of Death's Shadow, because that's just the ultimate lock.
Yeah. Sometimes you have Overwhelming Splendor, Dovescape, and Curse of Death's Hold in play.
Oh, nice.
On your opponent, and that's it. That's the hard lock.
All right, game 1 there going to Vikram-Kudva.
So, because we're going to pretend that we care about the modern and the standard matchups in round 1 of day 2, we're going to move across to Jonathan Bush against Evan Nelson. This is in Modern. And to be fair, there's some fun stuff going on here. We've got Tassika the Golden Fang. Is that a Gurmag Angler? I think it is.
Oh, yes.
With the giant gob on him. And is that Leonin Arbiter?
Yeah.
On the left-hand side of the table, plus an Ether Vial at 1. So they're both tied at 0-0. Just to give you a sense of what 6 and 2 means, yes, it means yesterday they won 6 matches and lost 2. Duh. But it means that given the size of the field, there's only like 120 teams left in the room. So we reckon that certainly 12 and 2 will make you a top 4 team, and it's very possible that there'll be some 11, 2 and 1. So these teams early in the day, everyone who makes day 2 is live for the top 8.
Cool. So we're seeing Bush here use Renegade Rallier, and because he has that Revolt trigger, he's able to return a permanent back from his graveyard to the battlefield. Just a ton of value here for him.
Oh, interesting. Sorry about that. Left the Curse of Death's hold on for a moment. There's Renegade Rallier, or as they call him in France, Rengards Rollier.
And his Golden Steed.
You know, that's a card I expected to see significantly more play in the modern format than it ended up seeing. It's become somewhat of a staple, but I mean, the card's so strong here. Wasn't enough, though. Tasker the Golden Fang and Gurmag Angler both had more power than Jonathan Bush had life, and this game is over.
It's a pretty close one, but you can see 2 Ws racked up for the team on the right-hand side of your screen. Evan Nelson taking home that game. Brubaker-Nelson-Kudva, as we just saw, also winning his legacy matchup. There at the top of your screen are the standard players, so let's check in on UC Ma. And
oh, yes, can
Daniel
we?
Brubaker.
Please.
Well, you know, just for a bit, Rich. They're just shuffling down there.
Okay, let's do a quick chat poll. Who'd rather see shuffling?
Brutal. That's so brutal. All right, Mark Calderaro, one of our writers here, raises his hand. Okay, we'll tally your vote there, Mark.
So, I mean, looking at this game between Ma and Brubaker, Ma has a big advantage here. Bristling Hydra, obviously a very powerful card, but the one card in this matchup that matches up very well against that Hydra is Whirler Virtuoso. And the thing about Whirler Virtuoso is that it just creates so many chump blockers that you can just repeatedly toss in front of that Hydra while you win the race.
Harness Lightning for the Whirler Virtuoso.
What would you rather have, 3 Thopters or a Bristling Hydra?
I would rather have a Bristling Hydra than simply 3 Thopters, but given the life totals and over the course of a game, I would rather have a Whirler Virtuoso and 3 Thopters than I would a single Bristling Hydra with, 3 to 6 energy.
And this is what we kind of expected coming in here this weekend for Standard. A lot of the players on what is, widely perceived to be the strongest deck, Temur Energy.
Commit to memory. Coming up. I bitterly regret that Harness Lightning doesn't have the flavor text with the quote of the guy in the picture going, "Oh, yeah." Because that's clearly what's happening.
Yeah, it is. You could just write it on there.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should. Would that make me an altarist?
It would.
It's like,
it would.
Oh.
A Whirler Virtuoso comes into play for Daniel Brubaker.
I can't quite see how much energy Brubaker has, but this could be the moment at which Brubaker fights his way back into this game. And something I really like here from Ma is that Ma, with that you get 3 energy trigger on the stack from the Whirler Virtuoso, uses a Braid to kill the Whirler Virtuoso. And that means that Brubaker is only going to be able to make 1 Thopter with the Whirler Virtuoso because he won't have the extra 3 energy from the trigger in time for him to make the thing.
Okay, question for chat. Has there ever been a movie called Daniel? Because there has been a movie called Brubaker, starring Robert Redford.
Really?
In the 1970s, like 1974, I want to say, but I don't know whether there's ever been a movie called Daniel.
Probably.
There's a song called Daniel, Elton John.
That's my little brother's name. But what I do know, though, I don't know about the movie, but I do know that Ma had a Glorybringer in hand and killed Brubaker.
Okay. So there's the feature match area where already we have people hanging out to watch the front table. We'll show you the back table, and incidentally, on the back table, we have the last perfect record at 8-0. That's Kubin, Fan, and Camposano, and they are against the other undefeated team, who are not on 24 points, not 8-0. They are on 7-0-1. So that's going to be our Time Warp match in a little bit. We've also got some features to show you in between the rounds, and as we head down to Time Walk and so on, a few little things to try out here on our first Good Morning Magic of the day. It sounds like Daniel 1983 starring Timothy Hutton. Thank you, Anonym. Great stuff. See? All human life is in the Magic chat room. That's all you need. Table C, we are back for game number 2 of our highlight match. We promised you that... Oh, hello. Let's start quickly, shall we?
Yeah, so Nonaka put a Leyline of the Void, I believe, into play before the game even started.
So how good is that for him?
Well, it means that Kudva is not going to be able to use the Cabal Therapy engine part of his deck, which is a pretty big deal for Kudva. It's not quite as game-winning as it might be in some matchups, but it certainly is going to put a hamper on Kudva's ability to, sacrifice Veteran Explorers in the early game, etc.
And we saw Cabal Therapy, earlier this weekend as well, when people had more information about their opponent's hand before they cast it. How good is it when you're just casting it?
It's pretty good. I mean, especially if your opponent's deck is based around specific cards, you can really, really make it so that their hand does just about nothing.
Deathrite Shaman here in play for Nonaka. One of the staples of Legacy. Leyline of the Void, once again, here on 1.
Oh, and actually, I think Leyline of the Void interacts with the Rector and Witch as well. So Leyline of the Void is quite good here. I didn't quite get that angle of attack here. I was checking the wording on Academy Rector and Bitterheart Witch. 2 cards that obviously I'm extremely familiar with, but...
Yeah, when Academy Rector is put into a graveyard from play.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Alas, no.
Yeah, the good news for Kudva is that it's still a 2/2 for 4 mana that can attack.
So Keenan here attempting once again to lock Vikram out of the game. It seemed like he was going to do so last game as well, but Vikram able to fight through it, finding quite a lot of mana in the process.
Yeah, and one thing that was really nice for Kudva in Game 1 is that instead of drawing the Veteran Explorers themselves, he drew Green Sun Zeniths, which meant that he could put those Veteran Explorers into play by playing a spell that costs 2 as opposed to a spell that costs 1, which would be automatically countered by the Chalice of the Void. So there's a Pernicious Deed on the table right now. And Pernicious Deed is one of my favorite cards of all time. This is an enchantment. It costs a colorless, a green, and a black. And you can pay X and sacrifice it. And you destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments with converted mana cost X or less. Now, this card is really good alongside things like Planeswalkers because it doesn't destroy them, right? And it's also just very good at cleaning up a board like this because it gets rid of, all the enchantments and artifacts. Kudva might have wanted to wait a turn so that he could also get that Leyline of the Void off the table, but he saw basically that Nonaka had no action left at all. And if he was able to just deed for 1 here, he was able to clean up the board except for the Leyline, and now it's just smooth sailing. As long as he doesn't have to use his graveyard, winning this game is not going to be overwhelmingly difficult for him.
Deathrite Shaman and Chalice of the Void both go down to that Pernicious Deed.
Love the art on that card, too.
Yeah. Chris Muller. So Grove of the Burnwillows comes into hand for Keenan. Nonaka's got a Mox Diamond as well. Both lovely cards, but not doing an awful lot right now.
Just as a throw the turn back over to Vikram.
Vikram just playing land. I really hope we see him just cast the Dovescape.
Just hard cast it?
Yeah. Ooh, a Leyline of the Void of his own.
Okay.
Now, you may be thinking, well, okay, Vikram also has Leyline of the Void in his deck. Now, is he also just going to be attacking Nonaka's graveyard? And the thing is, Nonaka does want to use his graveyard. He's a Light from the Loam deck. But Kudva's Leyline of the Void is not only a way to disrupt his opponent, but it's actually part of a win condition. You see, post-sideboard, Kudva has Helm of Obedience.
The what now?
So Helm of Obedience is an artifact. And we should pull it up on the screen.
I'm going to do that.
And I think people should read it. It's going to take them, a couple hours to read the card because it's a few hundred pages long.
All right.
But essentially, if you're able to activate Helm of Obedience when you have a Leyline of the Void on the battlefield, you just exile your opponent's library.
Really?
So here's how it works. Helm of Obedience says X tap, put the top card of your target opponent's library into his graveyard, continue until you've put X cards or creature card into that graveyard, whichever occurs first. The last card of the graveyard is a creature card, bury Helm of Obedience, put that creature card to play under your control so that it's cast. X cannot be equal to 0. So here's the thing about Helm of Obedience. You tap it, and because none of those cards are going to their graveyard, they're all just getting exiled, you just exile their library.
I feel like I just stumbled into one of those medical adverts that you have here where it's like, you could feel better in seconds. Terms and conditions apply. And then they list the 78 fatal diseases you can get from taking this red pill.
Well, I'll tell you, he might get a fatal disease pretty soon if Helm of Obedience goes into play. Knight of the Reliquary hits the table for Keenan. Is that going to do anything for him here?
Knight of the what now?
So, Knight of the Reliquary is easily dealt with the Pernicious Deed on the other side of the table.
Oh, there it is!
Oh, well then.
Okay.
And Vikram-Kudva has the 1 land. You do need to pay 1 to activate that Helm of Obedience. You can't activate it for 0, even though it's just X. I think it specifically says you can't activate X for 0.
Yes,
I know I just read it.
X can't be 0.
Yeah, so Keenan Nanaka's library has been exiled.
Oh, how good is this, Jake? In the rulings on Gatherer, it says this from 2008. If an effect, like that of Leyline of the Void, prevents cards from being put into your opponent's graveyard, the process described in the first sentence of Helm of Obedience's effect will never stop.
Oh, man.
Your opponent's entire library will be exiled, even if X is 1.
It's important to note that...
This is degenerate.
Yeah. Nanaka's library will not just be exiled all at once. It's 1 card at a time. So hopefully they play it out.
Just for the increased pain of seeing your library go into exile. Look at it happen. Have you ever seen on Magic Online that prompt that says, look at the cards?
Yes.
I love that.
So the thing is, if you're Keenan Nonaka and you know you can't win, right? Oh, they oh no! You see, if I was Keenan Nonaka, I'd be like, maybe this Vikram guy's really good at Magic. I should keep him here for the next 25 minutes so he can't participate in Table B or Table A to improve their chances over there. I'll just sit here and be the dumb guy sitting here at Table C, like making him go through the motions.
Rich, you're a genius.
Do
not let this tech out into the pro community.
Don't worry, no one
You'll
will ever
revolutionize Team Magic.
Well, thank you. I do think of myself as a bit of a revolutionary, actually. So, Jonathan Bush, Evan Nelson, we're heading into Modern. Hope you enjoyed the nonsense of featuring the words "will never stop" on Helm of Obedience. That was pretty cool. That worked out very nicely. That's the kind of nonsense you can expect on Sunday mornings. With Good Morning Magic. Good Morning Magic! So that's coming your way. Well, we've got some fun features in between the rounds this morning as well. There's a big Pauper event this weekend. We're going to talk to the Professor, maybe today, maybe in Indianapolis, and certainly when he comes to London, he's on a Pauper tour at the GPs. So many popular side events, and Pauper really seems to be going up in popularity.
Oh, boy. Oof. Oof.
I haven't played in a while. I wonder how the ban list has changed recently.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd like to look.
Don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I heard there's a Popple oh boy, Popper Boggles deck. So I'm in.
You're on board.
Yeah, you see, if I knew that I was going to try a sentence with the words pauper and boggles next to each other, I'd have practiced. Have another go. What is it?
Popper Boggles.
Oh, well done. Popper Boggles. Pop.
So, Liliana the Last Hope is a card that we haven't seen a ton of. I guess we now have seen a ton of it in Modern. We've even seen a ton of it in Legacy. And I think it's worth noting just how good that Planeswalker is. You know, it was a force to be reckoned with in Standard, and now in Modern, people are playing it. Sometimes people are playing it over the 4th copy of Liliana the Veil. Sometimes people are playing it over Liliana the Veil entirely. And 3-mana Planeswalkers are very good, and I think the more we play with this card, the more we might realize that it's, you know, a top 3, maybe top 4 Planeswalker of all time.
And there you see the power of Liliana the Last Hope, taking care of that Blade Splicer like it was nothing.
Yeah, and you know, it just kills that Blade Splicer. Now, you know, Bush just has that Golem in play. It ticks up, and if it ever gets to 7, and it's good at protecting itself, you basically just win the game if the game's going to go long enough if your opponent's not a combo deck.
Fatal Push here is going to take down that token from Evan Nelson. Death Shadow as well. Getting in.
And now, Jonathan Bush, he really wants to have that Aether Vial on the first turn of the game. This game, it looks like he didn't get it till a little bit later. And he also just wants to be kind of playing a mana denial game in a matchup like this. You know, Evan Nelson doesn't play many basics. Those two are probably the only two in his deck. That means that Jonathan Bush oftentimes can use cards like Ghost Quarter simply as wastelands. It didn't look like that played out in either of these two games here. So we didn't quite get to see what the you know, green-white hate bears, if you will, type deck is capable of. But you know, this is Grixis Shadow doing what Grixis Shadow does best. Also, another note about this matchup we're watching right now is that Evan Nelson's version of Grixis Death Shadow with Liliana the Last Hope, that's much better positioned against these Hate Bear type decks because Liliana the Last Hope is just so good against them.
No play there from Jonathan Bush, who passes it back over to Evan Nelson, who's got some action on the battlefield, that's for sure.
Yeah, and if you take a look at Bush's hand, I got a little bit of a glimpse. He has a ton of cards he can play in his hand. The thing is, they're 1 toughness creatures and a Path Exile.
All right, we're going to path this Death Shadow here. Down it goes.
And Evan Nelson looks like he has a Snapcaster Mage in hand, and he has a pair of Kolaghan's commands in his graveyard. So it looks like he can just have that never-ending chain of Snapcaster Mages that we all love so much.
Sure.
As a reminder, because we saw Vikram-Kudva defeat Nonaka by 2-0, that means that Evan Nelson can round out the match here for the team of Brubaker-Nelson-Kudva. So Jonathan Bush has to win this one and the next one, while UC Ma, who we saw briefly, mercifully, win the standard round, game number 1, his match could be irrelevant. Largely coughing pachyderm, as we say.
There we see Jonathan Bush kind of waffling between whether or not he wants to put another counter on that Aether Vial or not. The 3 counters on the Aether Vial kind of is symbolic of a Flicker Wisp or something like that from this deck.
Who are our commentators, asked the Blazing Bogle 917. Me, Rich Hagen. Hello, identifying as Rich Hagen.
I'm Maria, the Blazing Bogle herself.
And I'm Jacob Van Lunen.
See? Welcome along. Good morning, Magic. It's a little bit of a departure. Sunday morning, no one ever won a GP on Sunday morning. Well, unless it went very, very early or very, very late. But I don't think anyone's ever won one on a Sunday morning. So we're trying to just hang out and have a little bit of fun, talk a bit about Magic, watch some fun Magic, watch some different decks in action, show you some little bit unusual features maybe in between times. And then the main heart of the day is the 4 rounds through 11 through 14. It'll be MTG Red Zone. Marshall and Eduardo will be here. Maria and JVL will be here taking you through the last 4 rounds down to the top 8. Lots of updates from the floor. Lots more of what's going on. Which of your favorite pros and which of your friends are making it towards the top 8. And then, of course, Sunday Night Magic, our flagship show tonight with Marshall and Eduardo. You'll see the semi-finals and the finals as they happen. So that's your card for day 2 here in GP Santa Clara. Happy New Year. Also, first GP for us, first of many, many, many weekends. We estimate we're going to show you about 4,000 games of Magic this year in 2018. And we hope that at least 2 or 3 of them will be mistake-free from the commentary booth.
We'll see.
Last turn we had kind of an insane turn, if you'd like me to explain what happened. On Jonathan Bush's end step, Evan Nelson used Snapcaster Mage to flashback Kolaghan's command, and he chose to destroy an Aether Vial and also make Jonathan Bush discard a card. So Jonathan Bush used his Ether Vial. First he sacrificed a fetch land to turn on Revolt. Then he put Renegade Rallier into play, returned a Leonin Arbiter to the battlefield, and then he discarded a Noble Hierarch that did not do very much in the face of Liliana the Last Hope. Kind of a big turn. Still, looks like Evan Nelson is so solidly in control of this match.
Yeah, Liliana here ticking up, and in fact, going to ultimate. And once that happens, it's kind of like, might be all over.
Yeah, the dead are rising. I really like the Liliana emblem on Liliana the Last Hope. It feels to me kind of like the Thriller music video.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like they keep coming out. You get more and more of them.
I've tried to fight my way through a Liliana emblem, and it's futile.
Yeah, she's even doing the move where he like goes down and then like comes up with his arms to the side. She's got all the dance moves.
I was a bit concerned there, Marie. I thought you were about to say, I have actually tried to work my way through a zombie horde, in Minneapolis.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm going there later this year. Hope that got cleaned up.
Well, the thing is, every year, like they grow and grow over the course of the summer and into the fall, but the winter's so harsh
it kills them off.
It kills them off.
So we don't worry about it.
When are we coming to Minneapolis? Is it May?
We're hardy people.
It's like May-ish.
Is it May or is it later? I'm not sure.
Like, will it have stopped snowing by then?
Maybe. We always cross our fingers and hope, Rich.
Okay, so there's a little window of like June 26th to June 29th where you have like spring, summer, and fall.
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, can't wait to go there again. We love you, Minneapolis, really.
It's a great city. A lot of people ask me, why on earth do you live there? It's, minus 14 on the daily this time of year. And it's just like, well, it's a great city. It really is.
Okay.
The zombie horde continues to grow.
Poor little Leonin Arbiter there trying to do its best to hold off the ever-increasing team.
We are almost done, which means that shortly we'll be heading for our time warp match. That features the 8-0, the perfect record, plus the one other undefeated team at 7-0-1 to give the full legalese. So we'll be there. We'll have a short break first. We're going to show you a little bit of content while we set up our time warp, and then we'll plow on with that. And then before you know it, it'll be round number 10 with more fun stuff on the way. So Evan Nelson about to get it done, we feel. Here we earlier saw Brubaker-Nelson-Kudva with the slightly Wild West matchup against Nonaka. Helm of Obedience and Leyline of the Void doing its thing. Outstanding entertainment.
So something cool that happened here is Jonathan Bush drew Dusk to Dawn. And it doesn't do much here, but I think it's a really cool sideboard card for these types of matchups where your opponent has cards like Tassigurk or Mogangler, because it doesn't kill any of your creatures, but it essentially deals with all the larger creatures that trump your own.
And we saw that card be pretty influential at the last Pro Tour as well, people putting it into their decks.
Just a great option for when you're playing against something like this. That's a lot of zombies.
Yep. Unfortunately, not going to do much here, but you're right, it is pretty cool.
Well, it would be fine if you just scribbled out greater and went less.
Oh, we should let him know that.
No one would ever know. Destroy your creatures with power 3 or less.
Jonathan Bush continuing to fight the good fight. Out comes another Leonin Arbiter. And in swing the zombies. And there is the handshake. Evan Nelson taking the game 2-0 over Jonathan Bush, giving his team the win.
All right, so what we're going to do is come back to the booth and welcome you back here. We are part of our way through our coverage of round number 9. Welcome back, Rich, Maria, and JVL. And Maria's already been drinking because it's early. It's like, oh, yeah, get into marvellous. Hide. Oh, my God.
It's caffeinated water.